everyone. This is Jenna Apgar, and we with David Roberts, and we are back with the Business Growth Network today at a different Starbucks location. Excuse any of the noise in the cars in the background, but we wanted to get this knocked out there.
Oh, and the weed eater over there too.
The weed eater.
A weed eater over there too. So.
But this is Facebook Live, so at any given point in time, you can feel free to ask live questions, and David and I can see them, and we'll be able to answer them as they pop up below in the little chat box. And today we're here to talk about the third question for the Vision Challenge, Day 3. It's all about your ideal audience.
Right. Yeah, and I think that the important thing is we're gonna move. We're not going away from if anything were possible and the things that you did yesterday. I know I've talked to several of you, and you're still working on that. You're still struggling with that. As Jen and I were talking about, I mean, the most important thing is to keep moving forward. This is a challenge. Every day is going to be additional challenge, and you're going to see, as we talked about yesterday, a method to our madness as we go through here. Today we're going to kind of take our focus, as the letter said, outside of ourselves. I know, at least if you're like me, the introspection, the looking at myself. What is my dream? What do I want to do? What is, if anything were possible? That can be somewhat exhausting. And yeah, there we go. We got all the noise going by here. So hopefully you can hear us. But so it can be exhausting. So we want to give you a break and let you focus kind of outside of yourself and talk about the ideal client, or the person you're going to serve, the people in your dream story that, if anything were possible, you're able to provide the value to.
Again, asking yourself that, assuming no barriers, no limitations, if anything were possible, what would your ideal client be? Not necessarily who you're serving today. You're killing me with the trucks.
Yeah, we just got a garbage truck coming through here, guys. So this is fun. It's live. That's what we're doing. So
it's the recycling truck.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But who's your ideal client? If you could serve anybody in the world, any type of person, and any type of position, what would your ideal client be?
Yeah. One of the things Jenna said that before we went live and we were talking is, which I thought was pretty profound, is as you're starting your business, or as you're a small business owner just trying to get traction and grow market share and stuff, we tend to go after everything that comes our way, right? And so because we
or what's easy.
Yeah, and what it is that comes to us. But again, as she pointed out, that's not necessarily, that's like being trapped in the day-to-day, right? You're used to doing something, it's coming at you, people are asking you for it, but it's not ideally, or it's not even what you're...
But then that's what you spend your time and effort on.
Right.
When you create a campaign, when you go to networking groups, and all that energy ends up being spent on what's easy, or what you think you want, instead of creating everything that specifically targets what you really want. Because the marketing and the message and the effort that it takes to get a small business owner is obviously very different to get a Fortune 500 company.
Precisely. And so that's I think that's really kind of what the target is here for this part of the challenge, is really, let's not, of course you're going to take business if you're needing to pay the bills or eat. Of course, if somebody's wanting to come to you and pay for something,
you got to have your bread and butter.
Yeah, you're not necessarily going to walk away with it or walk away from it, but the reality of it is you want to at least know who that ideal, or that, if anything were possible, audience or client would be.
In detail. Very specific. Just like your future that we described, if anything were possible, what would your future life be? You need to spend just as much time focusing on what your future client would be, but returning back to that that future that you described for yourself. What would be the ideal client for that future? What would put you in that position to live that life that you've already described and laid out?
Right.
Hi, Yana.
Hi, Yana. I don't know you, but I see you on the screen, so that's good.
That's one of my girls.
One of your girls?
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Well, that's good. So did you want to talk about day 3 a little bit, or did you want? Yeah.
Well, I did. I'll go back a little bit. So you were talking with Virginia, where she had a few questions about her future story, and I was talking to John. He had some questions about the very first question, the why. And even a few of my friends had commented when I shared it on my personal feed, you know, is this a business story or is this a personal story? And in reality, it is both.
Right.
If you can't answer personal branding, personal messaging stories for yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to connect and get your audience to reach you on a personal level, because your message will not be clear and you'll be so busy trying to copy somebody else's dream and somebody else's message that you won't shine and it will not be authentic. And being authentic here is really important. And I know posting on Facebook, we tend to, we want to keep it on a very much of a surface level, but it misses the true point of getting down to what your real why is. Your real why is not a mission statement for a business. You know, what gets you up in the morning and makes you go to work and makes you struggle and makes you work really hard and put those hours in is usually something very deep. You know, it comes from something sometimes painful, sometimes happy, but something very real and life-changing.
Right. I mean, I think that is pretty. When I was listening, when Jenna was just talking, one of the things that you reminded me of is you're always working on a dream. You're always working on a why. It's just whether it's your why or your dream or somebody else's. And the reality of it is, a lot of times we're used to having people define for us what we're going to do on a day-to-day basis, or even an hour-to-hour basis, and that is comfortable, right? When we talked about the enemy of success is not failure, because the more you fail, ultimately, the more you'll succeed, the more you can learn, and so on. The really enemy of success is comfort, is getting just trapped in something that's comfortable and easy for you. And so a lot of times where people are powerfully driven towards their dream, and you happen to come into contact with them, it's easy to get sucked into somebody else's dream story or somebody else's, if anything were possible.
Isn't that like the quote with if you're an employee, you're building someone else's dream?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so and not that we're dissing employees in any way. It's simply that most of the people here are entrepreneurs or business owners, or they want to be working on their dream. And so that's the people we're trying to reach here. The people that want to design their life from this point forward.
Absolutely. So if you're stuck on your first question, if you're stuck on the second question, your why and your future story, just get something down.
Right.
You know, you can come back to it over the weekend, you can come back to it from a month from now. It's going to change anyway. So I think I was using the analogy we're talking about. If you're looking for a house, we're sitting here in East Plano. You might just say, you know, I've been told Plano has great schools and I want to move to Plano. That's your future position. But once a realtor takes you out and you see East Plano, Central Plano, West Plano, you learn very quickly all three are very different. So your dream story, your future story changes as you learn more. When you start really zeroing in on that future position and you start researching what it takes to get there, you start learning that there's very different aspects to all those different future scenarios. Even if you just want to be on a yacht in the ocean, there's a lot of different yachts.
A lot of different, once you get to that future state and you start looking around, you say, okay, there's more to this.
There is.
Than just what looked kind of fuzzy at one point in time, right? So it really is important. But as Jenna said, and I think that we both agree that, and from my experience, you've got to start somewhere, and that's why I say doing this in this format that we're doing it, as opposed to one-on-one with somebody, you know, you can iterate a little more quickly as you start. Okay, so tell me about this, tell me about that. We're going to do that, but it's going to do it over a journey, over some time. So with that, I think we're just get something down. Don't skip it.
Definitely don't skip it. Write something down.
Yeah, it's important to put something down. And if you're not happy with it, that's great. Just keep it there and keep refining it as you go. But now we're going to focus on that ideal client. So if you want to...
So each one of these messages, I have day 2 here, and...
This is day 3.
David's got 3. These are printable, and you can click them, or they're right on in the emails, and if you'll see, like, obviously your future vision story is complicated and it's got a lot of details, but made it really easy where you can just circle or check mark in these editable PDFs. And we've got day 3 here. It's got more prompts, it's got more things to help walk you through each question and space to write on it. And like I said, it's editable, so if you're on a laptop or a tablet, you can click right on it and work on it from there.
Right.
Back to the beginning. What have we covered? So the first question is, what are your 3 deep, dark pains or desires your ideal clients have? You know, how do they feel? Like, completely describe them as a person. Describe what kind of company they work with. Describe who they are. Are they male? Are they female? Depending on what kind of, like, if you are a fitness trainer, you know, your ideal client might be a heavier person. That's someone you're working and you're specifically seeking out, or it might be moms who've had babies who need to lose the baby fat. But be very specific on who this client is.
Right, and I think that, interestingly enough, I've used in the process of marketing and even approaching clients to sell, I've used a 3-3-3 type of approach anyway, where you have the 3 problems that you solve with that client. Who is that client? And be very clear about who it is you're targeting. But then what are the challenges that particular audience member or that particular client faces, and then what are the 3 from there? Then I usually say, okay, now what are the 3 ways that I can come up with to help them in what I do, in my what are the 3 intersections, or what are the 3 things that kind of cross map to my dream story, and then what are the 3, if I want to go in and have a story to tell, I want to have 3 examples of how I've taken that and applied that to a person like them. So having your 3, we don't have to go all through that today, or even in this, but I think that gives you knowing the 3 challenges that your ideal or your dream client faces will give you the starting point for then thinking about, okay, how do I or can I serve that audience?
And don't limit yourself on this one. Don't say, I don't know any of those people. With social media and the ability to hop onto Twitter or Facebook, LinkedIn, there's always a way to connect with these ideal clients. Always.
Right.
And in the future, like once you're moving past, just who is my ideal client, there's ways to reach out to them, to just ask for information, to be like, you are, someone I really want to learn how to help. Can I sit down and buy you lunch? Can I sit down with you and pick your brain? And they're more than happy to do that. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. I do it with my own clients. So I know it's possible. So don't let any barriers that, I don't know these people already stop you. I don't know what their pain points are. You can guess for now. You can extrapolate. You can do research on, Google is a wonderful research tool.
Sure.
But know that once, this story is played out and you start to want to align your vision and start, working backwards, building that bridge backwards to where you are now, there is a way to reach them. There really, really is.
Right. And that becomes your task. But until you really have defined what their problems are and what they look like, you don't even know what questions to ask. So that's why
or who to reach out
to. Right. So this just gives you either the answer or you think The thing is, I would submit that we can all get more depth on those answers even if we're already in that business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once we really get focused on our ideal audience or ideal client, and we think anything is possible, then we may have seen certain things, challenges that they have, but have just out of hand dismissed our ability to serve them because we didn't know how.
Or we've never done it before.
We're trapped in the day-to-day again, right?
And don't be afraid. Like, part of this is, talk to friends that you know, tell them your vision for your ideal client, tell them your future vision, and get feedback, because maybe they might know something you don't know, or they might even know your ideal client there. Nice. Burner. But yeah, definitely reach out to your network. Your network will know somebody like this. reach out and ask them if that's, what are your problems. There's a lot of mom groups on Facebook. You might have moms that who doesn't know a mom? Going back to the fitness trainer, you can ask them what are their pain points.
Right.
So help me. I'm trying to figure out everything I need to know about moms looking to get back in shape. What is it that matters to you? So if you don't know or you don't think you know, just reach out to your own group and ask.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, because we tend to, again, this is an opportunity to get outside of your own head. And like I said, the if anything were possible, sorry about that.
Took a call.
Yeah, we got that call out of the way, didn't we? Yeah. So, as I was saying, this is a chance for you to put yourself in somebody else's head or somebody else's shoes and start to figure out how and what you can do to serve them in a way that maybe they haven't been served before. This is where you begin to start to get a glimmer of how you differentiate.
Yes.
What is your messaging and those kinds of things.
Go ahead and do the public posting. So a lot of people have felt, very, uncomfortable with their own networks sharing, their why and their future story. And the end goal really is to get you comfortable enough with that story to share it. Now, this is probably one of the first ones that might be easier to share. You feel like it's a little bit more business related. It's not so interpersonal, something that you want to keep private. So put that out on your business page. Put that on your business Twitter, your business Facebook. Don't be afraid to reach out and tell the ideal clients that you're hoping for exactly that's who you're looking for. That's who you want to help. They might have thought you served a completely different type of person because that's what you did from day to day. They didn't even know that you were on their radar.
No, I mean, actually, Jenna, that's an awesome point, and one that, we always jump to conclusions without even thinking about it in terms of what people are and aren't interested in. And in my case, if you look at my resume, my past is largely large corporate customers, and what I have tended to monetize are large deals, large clients, right? And so at Richardson Plano Networkers, where
we just came from,
those are all small business folks. And initially, when I came into that group, when we were founding the group and everything, people would look at that and say, well, this isn't a target-rich environment for you.
I asked you that.
Yeah, why are you here? Yeah, I think that was when we our first
one-on-one.
Jenna said, why are you here? Looking at, knowing your background, knowing why are you here? And the answer is, if you look at the posts that I have and the posts that I will post, my desire is to make a difference and impact people that are close to me, the people that I can see, and bring some of those things to people that didn't. So it is a target-rich environment. It's just not necessarily an environment where I would monetize the same way that I did in the past.
Exactly.
But yet they all assume that I'm not interested in them. And it's always a revelation when we have a one-on-one and they say, wow, he really is interested in talking to me and helping me think through my business, which is kind of fun, actually. But so you jump to that conclusion, it's them saying that somebody just coming out and saying, I'm looking for you, and they read that and go, hey, he's looking for me.
I've been there. My first several clients were more medium-sized businesses.
Right.
And I love those clients. They're great. They pay well. But there was no passion in helping them earn that. You're helping them earn another $1 million and a new pony and a new yacht and another home, and you're like, or more a bigger savings account.
Sure.
Just more savings account. And there was no joy and there was no light. They already knew what I was doing. They weren't learning anything new. They're just hiring me to do the work for them. But when you work with a small business owner, you can completely change their life when you can change their marketing and you can brand them and brand their person and teach them to look at things a completely different way and change their time. You can give them time back so they're not working 12 hours a day. You can send a kid to college and help them buy a new vehicle, like not a.
Well, the thing I love about it, in that same vein, is the fact that because you are working with somebody and you can see their life, you can get an appreciation for everything. you know when you're making a difference. I mean, when I was doing large multi-billion-dollar outsourcing transactions all over the globe, I knew I was doing something because they were paying me a lot of money. But could I really see how I positively impacted people's lives, or good or bad, or negatively for that
negatively.
matter?
Outsourcing.
Yeah, right. They lost their job. You kind of get it desensitized, and you really don't see what you're doing. And that's the part about this that I love, is being able to look the person in the eye, or being able to see their post that said, "This changed my life."
Even when you don't see their post, sitting down with John, and he didn't want to post his real why.
Right.
Because he was afraid of how everyone would perceive it.
Right.
Where I was like, that's authentically you.
Right.
People really, truly do appreciate, in a world that's full of just giving you the glossy images, they appreciate someone who is being authentic to themselves. And that's something you can feel. But kind of moving on, obviously you're in your day-to-day and you're trying to work these things out. I want you to marinate on a couple of deeper issues, kind of while you're thinking about this client. And the first one is, you've described your client. I want you to describe your client to the nth degree, down to the songs they love, everything they look about and where they go, what blogs they read, who their gurus are. I don't necessarily like the term guru, but it's important to know. I want you to think, how can you solve their pain points? Those things that we discussed that are very sensitive to them, those things they don't want to post on social media. How can you solve those pain points? And these are going to be the ones that hit them really hard. It's not me, like I can't, decide on what to eat tonight. It's going to be, money, relationship, things they need. I can't think of, there's like a whole list.
Well,
there's like a list of 10. I can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that really impact where they live. And, and sometimes that comes back to your own why, right? I mean, the one that comes to my mind, and I apologize, this is close to me, and Cheryl, I'm going to share this with you because I've heard you explain why you're doing the Pampered Chef. And it's not because, number one, they have great products and all that, they're around for a long, and all these things, all these things about a company that really, they're important, but it doesn't really get to your why. But
it doesn't resonate.
But we have 5 kids, and we love to spend time with our family having dinner together as with 5 kids. And what she realized was she wasn't the only one that felt like that, and there was a lot of women that in today's lifestyle really can't find that time and don't have the tools and everything else and don't feel comfortable and need ways to be able to do that more efficiently.
I'm always shocked by how many people don't sit down at a dinner table.
Right.
They don't, the husband doesn't come home in the burbs till 7 at night, 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
And you've got kids, they've completely missed the kids.
Right. And I fell into that trap. We fell into that trap. I traveled a lot, whatever. And so that time was precious. So having the opportunity to help people get into a mode where they have the tools and the motivation was really her why. One of her biggest whys is she got excited about this was the fact that, number one, it would impact our family, but number two, the ideal client, if you will, were people that really didn't have the tools. Yeah, it's great to have foodies and people that are into that stuff and do it all the time, and those are great customers. But ideally, it's making a difference by getting those families together that wouldn't have gotten together otherwise,
and that's impacting their lives greatly.
But you got to think about what type of
that would change your demographic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's some that are professional and, just like you said, don't have the time. They're doing things. There's some that.
Well, I talked to a friend just today. She literally does not have the energy.
Right.
To make food, so they end up eating out. I'm like, there's techniques, there's things you can do.
Sure.
There's definitely short order type cooked foods, and
but anyway, that's
you could change that person's life, though.
Right. And it doesn't have to be something big and glossy. And back to you're talking about John. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is we are what we are, and we need to embrace it, and we need to realize that there's other people that are in the same place. And even people that you're going to be selling to, or even people that you're going to be take on the journey with you as your audience. And those people are going to gravitate to you because you've been brave enough to put yourself out there and be authentic, be who you are.
I think I just posted on Facebook a couple weeks ago or something, and I was just absolutely upset at John. I put our business all out there. And
I'm
God,
sure he appreciated that too. Right?
I'm sure I think we just became Facebook friends again yesterday.
Okay. He unfriended you.
No, I unfriended him.
Oh,
But
that's funny.
when I put that out there, and it was really just me, 3 kids, I moved up to the burbs, my network tends to be in the city, and just putting out there that I was in a spot where I needed help. I needed my friends to reach out to me, and for the flack that I got for putting my business out there, I also got a lot of feedback by private message from other women saying, oh my gosh, I'm in the same place, I can't post it. My husband would flip a lid, but I'm there and I understand. And I got another person who even reached out and said, it was so great to see that you actually struggled, because all I see on Facebook are all these parties you go to and all the times you're traveling and your beautiful house and your healthy kids, and it just gets overwhelming that you think that this person's living this perfect life to be able to see.
Why is my life not that perfect, right? Yeah.
And then you see that person struggles as well. So by being authentic, you're able to reach out and relate to people by not just being the surface and having that perfect exterior that you think people want. People really do want you to be real. They want you to be authentic.
Okay. Well, I think that, we kind of got. I think we're
right there
getting close to the time. So let's
then,
make sure we give a
go ahead.
call to action or whatever.
What would be a good call to action? This is the last day if you have not signed up for the Vision Challenge.
Okay.
We are going to cut it off today, and that is at businessgrowthnetwork.org/VC. Today will be the last day. We don't want everyone lost. We'll redo it again at the beginning of the first of the year when everyone's doing, their goal setting and wanting to move on in their life.
Or New Year's resolutions.
New Year's resolutions. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I like goals way better.
Sure.
But just dwell on all these things. Make sure you go ahead and you post your hashtag Vision Challenge Day 3. Put your answers out there. Don't be afraid to share them. And if you have any questions whatsoever, hop over to the Vision Challenge, e.g. the private group, and don't be afraid to ask. Be honest. If that's still a little too public for you, go ahead and just private message us either through the Facebook page or the group page on Vision Challenge, and we'll get right back to you.
Great. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm actually going to be kind of off the grid for a few days myself. So Jenna will be entertaining you.
All by myself.
And I'll be in the background texting her saying, "Don't say that." No, we'll have fun. I actually am going to help my mother move to a new location and have an estate sale. So it's being very open and transparent. Family is an important thing to me as well. So anyway.
Have everyone have a wonderful day. Again, at any time, if you're watching this afterwards, just answer questions in the comments. Let us know what you thought. Feel free to tag friends that you think this would be helpful to. And like I said, it's the last day to go ahead and sign on to the Vision Challenge. We'll run it again, but probably not until the end of the year or the very first of the year. So have a great day. Share away, and we love you all.
Now.